Hello and welcome to your Long Island weather update. And you can definitely feel the humidity starting in the night. Looking at our alerts here, which is what we're starting with first. You can see there's maybe they finally dropped the high wind watch. We'll have to see about that. I don't see the orange here on the map. Let's see if it's still in effect or not. Still in effect. Still in effect. Okay, so that's still in effect. So as you know, we have a storm coming tomorrow. We've talked about this for the past like 3 days, and we could see damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour across Long Island. Rain. They've upped the rainfall totals because of the slow-moving system. We may be going for the wettest December on record here, because down the pipeline, which I'll have to talk about, and or we got more rain coming for next weekend, another storm, which I'll allude to a little bit. I don't really want to go too much into the long range in this video, but you can see 3 to 4 inches now likely for us as well. So coastal shoreline flooding as well. It's going to be raining heavy through tomorrow afternoon, right through Monday morning. And speaking of rain, you can see here that we actually had this area of showers move through. A little sprinkle wound up moving through. It was mainly just a sprinkle, but this was actually the warm front because after it passed, it got really warm and really humid. I got pretty sweaty walking around out there. Yeah, it's crazy. We're in December. I know. I get it. But let's take a look and see what the conditions are right now outside. You can see across. You can see high wind. Looks like high wind watch is still in effect. It's also in effect for Cape Cod. This brown here, that is a wind advisory. That lighter brown, and then we also have the high wind watch in effect for Maine. Winter storm warnings way up here where the cold air is going to wedge in. So if you're up in this area, yeah, you'll have some snowfall. If you're way up there into Vermont. Winter weather advisories elsewhere. It looks like this is a lake effect. That's a winter weather. I see purple though. Oh, that's a winter storm watch. Okay, so that's winter weather advisory. And then look at this. Tornado watch in effect for parts of the South. I mean, this is December. I mean, this is ridiculous already. And then look, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. Yes, it is December. It is Christmas time, and we are talking about that. But that's what happens when you have a very warm, humid air mass move into the picture, which shouldn't be here, but it is because of climate change. You can see if you're in the south there, you're dealing with very humid conditions, 70 degrees, the dew point is 66. So this is the fuel for the severe weather and the fuel for all the rain that we're going to get as well. For us, Islip, Farmingdale is reporting 50 degrees, dew point 48. I tell you, it feels worse than that out there. At least here in Mineola. Feels quite muggy. Looking at the kind of day we had at Islip, you'll see that we had temperatures got up into the mid-50s. Yeah, no, it definitely feels like it got muggier. I was walking along and it got muggy. You can see light rain being reported at Islip here. Yeah, they didn't even think there was going to be any rain tonight. So we already have light rain because the models just can't handle the amount of moisture that's in the atmosphere that we're dealing with. Let's look at our highs. Let's get this out of the way first. The highs and the lows for the day. First, the highs. And you'll see across Long Island, mid-50s. And look at that. If you were in Jersey, you're dealing with low 60s. So very warm in Jersey. Really, really warm there. And for the lows tonight, it was actually pretty chilly last night. 30 degrees at West Hampton, 35 at Islip. So it actually got down to the mid-30s, 40s in the city. And then look at that, 27. So they went from 27 to 62 in Toms River. That's quite a range in temperatures, because it was pretty chilly. We did get that radiational cooling with the relatively clear skies and just some, jet chunk, which really is just occasional wisp of cirrus or jet chunk isn't really going to stop radiational cooling. It'll cool down in the Pine Barrens. But anyway, definitely feels like it's getting warmer and more humid out there, and I could feel it. Let's take a look at LaGuardia here. 50 degrees, dew point 45. I don't know. It feels like the dew points. Looks like light rain also being reported there. Those look like old observations. Let's see if we can get some of the more recent stuff. I'm going to go to the Wonder Map because I tell you, it feels really muggy out there. I was sweating. So let's see. Dew points. I don't know. It's showing up in 40s, but I don't know. It felt worse here in Mineola. That's all I could say. But it's going to be getting a lot more humid as we head into tomorrow as we deal with this very moist air mass that we have moving into the area as we deal with this storm that's coming up. So here is our satellite image And you can see some of the cirrus. There's a little break over here, and then some more of the bright white clouds. That's our storm here. Looking at the weather map, you'll see here's your cold front. Low is going to form along that cold front. There's the warm front. We're going to be in this warm sector here, and you get this big tropical feed. So if we look at the MODIS satellite pulling out, you'll see here's your storm, and here's that big tropical feed that's coming in. Here are the clouds we dealt with. So it's pretty junky today. A lot of cirrus around, a lot of clouds around. I mean, there was some sun, obviously, but there was some sun. Like there was a little break in the afternoon, but you can see all the contrails here kind of showing up. You know it's bad. You know it's a junky day when you see contrails on the satellite. So, and if you were out in Flagstaff, though, you had a beautiful day today. And a cold day, too, if you were in Flagstaff. So we'll just put Flagstaff here just to show you where I would have rather have been today if I could have been. And you can see it's 27 there, and look at that. All right, it does go up to 51, but look at that. For our high today, let's see, it was only in the mid-30s. Yes. Take that. 34 degrees, the dew point at -1. Clear skies, nice northeast breeze. I'm sure it must have been absolutely beautiful there. Instead of this disgusting mess that we're in right now. So let's look at, well, it's going to be more of a disgusting mess as we get to tomorrow. So ice slip, you'll see high was 56. Normal high 46, that's 10 degrees above normal. The low of 35 was 4 degrees above normal. That puts us 7 degrees above normal for the day. Central Park managed to make it to 59. That's 13 degrees above normal for the high and 11 degrees above normal for the day. And Newark, 59 as well. And they were 8 degrees above normal for the day, though. Like I said, Tom's River managed to make it to the low 60s, which is absolutely ridiculous for December 9th. How is it supposed to feel like Christmas when you have these kind of temperatures? It's unbelievable. So let's go and look at the radar map here. And this is our radar, so you get an idea of where our moisture is coming from. Here's your cold front here. And you can see that moisture goes all the way back into the Gulf. You can see all the severe weather here and through Mississippi, Louisiana, parts of Alabama, Tennessee, even up into Kentucky. And there's a good chance we're going to see some thunderstorms tomorrow as well. And I think we'd have to take this out, but let's look and see how much lightning these storms are producing. Oh my gosh, look at this. Yeah, there's a lot of lightning. This is December. Let me remind you, we are at December 9th. And look at all the lightning going on with these storms. I mean, this is insane. So this goes all the way from Beaumont all the way up to into almost into Pennsylvania even. We have lightning in Ohio. Well, no, not Pennsylvania. Ohio and West Virginia, but get close. And it looked like there were a couple of strikes in Pennsylvania as well. Lightning in December. The only lightning you should be getting is with thunder snow. But hey, this is what we're dealing with as we deal with the climate crisis. Continuing to get worse, calling it global boiling now, because that's really what it is. But slow global boiling. People just don't seem to. Well, it doesn't seem it's not slow at all, but people are just they'll do anything to. I know this is a weather video. I'm going to make another video ranting about climate change this weekend. But anyway, let's go to the. Now that we looked at all this stuff, let's go to the Storm Prediction Center here, because you'll notice, we actually have there's your tornado watch right there, and a slight risk of severe weather being put into this area. Now let's move this to tomorrow, and go to day 2 here. See if they put us in any kind of risk category here. Marginal. All right, so to the south, there's marginal conditions for severe weather tomorrow. I mean, it feels like a summer weather update. Oh, man, I'll tell you. This is why I got to keep doing these weather updates, because the climate is just going to continue to get worse, and there aren't enough people on here talking about it. So let's go look at our weather map here, and you'll see here's our low, here's our front that's going to come through. Low pressure is going to form along it, enhancing the precipitation. And you can see it gets very deep as we go into Sunday. And remember, we got all that warm water to work with. And it's even showing some snow on the backside. So if you're inland on the backside of this, like north and west of the city, you may get some snow out of this. But for us, I think it's mainly going to be a heavy rain event. Look at how tight those isobars are. We have strong winds on the backside of it now too, as well. And you can see how this is just becoming a big. We don't get simple cold fronts anymore. It's always like this. We always get lows forming along the cold front. High pressure builds in. I'll just briefly allude to this week will be fair. We'll have high pressure building in, giving us fair and seasonal weather. But watch what happens in the southeast. Here we go again for next Sunday. Another rainstorm. And then behind that, they might actually wind up pulling down some colder air for the following week. But we'll have to see when we get there. But hey, we'll see. If it keeps showing that, maybe we'll have some colder weather once we get toward Christmas time. But anyway, let's talk about this storm here. And we've spoken about actually, just go back for a minute here, back to the global view here. Actually, I can actually use the North American view, and I think we can still get that. Oh, we can on the North American view. Okay, I want to show you this. Nope. CONUS. All right, so I want to show you this again. Show you where the moisture is coming from. So again, we're going to look at that, all that moisture that we have coming up here, and you can see, look at that. Look at that moisture there. Look at the green. Look at that tropical connection that we have. It's really something, and really just crazy. So I wanted to show you that. So let's get into it. Let's go into the HRRR first of all, and look at the HRRR first. Obviously, the radar here showing you again. Models kind of missed that little area of rain, but I think the rain starts tomorrow right around noon, and then you're going to see the showers and thunderstorms pop up. Some of them could be heavy at times, and you can see how it's just going to kind of just train over the same areas. So that's where you're going to get your heavy rainfall. And then your low forms in the wee hours of the morning along this front here, and it starts deepening as it moves north and eastward. So that's gonna enhance the winds. Well, now we're gonna get some more winds on the backside. So it's not just gonna be the front side. We're gonna have to worry about strong northwesterly winds on the back of this storm, causing damage as well. Because you see how tight those isobars are right there. All right. Looking at our total, let's go to the dew points and wind flow. So here we go into tomorrow, and you'll see that southerly wind flow. It's going to get a lot more humid by tomorrow. You'll really feel the mugginess, south wind there, and then the wind shift off. You can see that shift right before sunrise. The wind shift to the northwest, but very strong westerly winds in the afternoon here. But you'll see that'll bring in that much colder air, and that it could lower the temperatures enough, like I said, to possibly north and west of the city, get some snowfall. Might even stick to the ground for a little bit. For tomorrow, it could be pushing 70 in Toms River in Ocean County. For the rest of us, near 60 degrees. Be very warm, near 60 degrees, and you see it's going to stay near 60 degrees right until that front. You can see how that really sharp front, to the right of the front, you're around 60 degrees. To the left of the front, you're dropping through the low 40s. To the left of the front. So you can see by the afternoon tomorrow, look at that. We may only be in the upper 30s to around 40, not tomorrow, Monday. All right? So let's go look now at total accumulated precip. And this is just the HRRR. So every model has their own thing. But look at this thing. I mean, look at that. So where there's training, and you can see, look at where there's training here. We don't know where that's going to set up. But right now it seems to have it set up over Long Island. Looks like central Suffolk County, western Suffolk County to the South Shore of Nassau, over the Jersey Shore. Over 3 inches, perhaps over 4 inches of rain is possible in these areas. So you're going to get over a month's worth of rain in some of these areas. There's definitely going to be a lot of flooding from this, because you're going to have these storms, these heavy rain showers and thunderstorms just training over the same areas over and over again. So that's going to cause a lot of problems. And again, this is all what we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. We'll go to the winds. All right, so here are your winds tomorrow. See, the LLJ isn't that bad. The LLJ gets worse as the storm goes east. That low formula on the front actually saves us from the strongest LLJ, but the forks may get into it. And wherever these thunderstorms are, you can see those purples right there. And so I think it's going to be the Cape. As far as the storm goes, it's going to be eastern Long Island through the Cape to the coastal New England. That's where you're going to get your strongest winds, coastal Maine into Nova Scotia. That seems to be where you're going to get your strongest LLJ winds. And we go to the 850 height and wind. And this kind of shows where the LJ. So you can see the worst of the LJ happens eastern Suffolk County over tomorrow night. You can see that very strong LJ there. To the west, the LJ cuts off pretty quickly. But look at how intense the LJ gets over the east end. So east end is likely to see some very strong winds out of this. And then on the backside, we'll have the winds too. But I think the strongest winds will be on the right hand side of it still with that LLJ. At least that's what the HRRR is showing anyway. And that looks very, very impressive and actually terrifying, to be honest with you. Thank God, at least it's a little off to our east. We have a few more models to look at, or more than a few. So let's go now to the NAM. We have the zeros in the NAM. We have the whole zeros in the NAM. And that's where a little bit later nights, you see the rain starting in again. There's that heavy rain. Pretty much looks like the HRRR, but you see how it's just training over Long Island like that. And there's that really deep low pressure system there. And you can see the snowfall also off to the north and the west there, all right? That's some really intense, that's a very intense low right there, very deep. And again, you have warmer oceans, it's just more fuel for these storms. So total accumulated precip on the NAM looks similar to the HRRR, to be honest with you. Again, you're going to have that area where you're going to have the heavier rainfall. And then total snowfall. Why don't we do this? So you can see here, north and west, you might see a coating. Maybe even the mountains, like the mountains of Jersey, you can get 4 or 5 inches out of it. And then look at the interior of Vermont here. That's where you're really going to get a lot of snow. So that's where you're going to get a lot of snow from this. We do the 850 height and wind again. We'll do that with this as well to show you the LLJ. So here's the NAM showing the So here's the NAM, a little different. Has the LLJ parked a little more over us for longer than the, and you can see this is the NAM. Still shows the eastern like eastern Suffolk County has got more of a potential to see higher winds than Nassau. But look at this LLJ. You're talking about winds aloft of, my gosh, perhaps 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's crazy. This only shows it in knots. So this is the kind of stuff that we've got to worry about here. So that's why I think there will be a high wind warning needed, at least for Suffolk County. Let's go to the Ventus sky next. And we'll move this over to the Ventus sky. And we'll move this over to tomorrow night, and we'll go to the HRRR. All right, so here's tomorrow night. See that warmth there, all right, that we've got going in here. So let's go to the wind gusts here, and you'll see here. Wind gusts don't look too terrible at 7 o'clock. 4 o'clock, they don't look too terrible. You can see where this boundary kind of just sets up. And this is the HRRR, obviously. It's because of that low along the front. So you can see how it picks up later on in the night. So here we go, 11. I meant on the Monday, you'll see the worst of it's kind of off to the east here. You can almost see this boundary forming over Suffolk. That is going to be a focal point. Wherever that boundary is going to be a focal point for all this heavy rain. And look at that LLJ. It's now starting to really kick into gear here. 7 o'clock. Look at that. It gets even worse. It moves further east, 63 miles an hour. And look at that. This is going to be insane. Look at some of these winds going offshore. Now, on the backside, we'll have wind gusts also into the 40s. So it's going to be very windy on the backside of it as well. But this storm looks very, very intense here. And that boundary is something I'm concerned about. Let's go to thunderstorms activity. No Cape shown here. We can look at wind shear. There's plenty of that. And lifted index. There's some lifted index here as well. So this is where the lifted index would be. You got tomorrow here. So you could definitely see there's the potential for thunderstorms. But right now, it doesn't look like the conditions are there for severe thunderstorms. But given the energy in the atmosphere, that's anyone's guess. So now let's go and look at the wind speed above the ground now here. And again, we are looking at, we'll go with 500 meters. I think that's a good bet. We'll start with tomorrow. So here we go. 5 o'clock, 500 meters above the ground. You can see 77 mile an hour wind. So this is what I mean. Any shower or thunderstorm could tap into these strong winds and bring them down to the ground. And that's why I think the high wind warning may be needed. Because this is just 500 meters above the ground. All right, and look at some of these strong winds here. And let's move this over to 10. This is using the icon, I guess, for this. But you'll see this is 10. All right. 11. Look at this. 85 miles an hour. These are the winds off the surface. So again, This is a very strong LLJ, and I'm still concerned about the damage from these winds because it gets worse as. And again, look at this is a loft, 88 miles an hour. Look at how intense it's getting. 88 miles an hour, 80s. You're in the 80s now. I mean, for Suffolk County. So again, the further east you are, the more intense these winds get. And then here we are at 6 in the morning, 86 miles an hour. I mean, this is insane. The kind of winds we're seeing from this is absolutely just terrifying. All right, this is just 500 meters off the ground. All right, so you can see how it's going to be worse for places to our east, but still bad for us as well. All right, so these are the concerns that we have with these winds, and that's why I think the high wind warning may still be needed. I think the Weather Service should definitely put it up. Let's go to 850 now. All right, this is 850, so this is 1,500 meters up. And you'll see here, you got winds going 90 miles an hour here. So this kind of shows you how strong this LLJ is and how it gets stronger as it moves further to the east. But these are some very, very powerful. Look at that, 104. This is at 850, 104, over 100 miles an hour. This is going to be this could be the potential to be a historic event, especially if you're in New England, 108 above the Cape. So any thunderstorm that could bring those winds down to the surface, 100-mile-an-hour wind gust is not out of the equation at the surface. Even though we are talking aloft here, these are incredible, incredible winds to see. Just absolutely incredible. So wind, rain, it's going to be like a tropical storm or maybe even a hurricane, depending on where you are, especially if you're on the Cape. And then, like I said, I think the Cape is going to have widespread power outages. I know this isn't at the surface, but we can go 100 meters above the ground. This is 100 meters above the ground. All right, we'll do 100 meters above the ground here to show you the kind of wind here. That this is, again, the kind of wind that you're going to have 100 meters above the ground over here. But this may be too conservative, all right, at this point. So definitely the threat is there for power outages, and we're going to have to keep an eye on that because, and again, with all that convection going on along the line, any thunderstorm could just, when you have that thunderstorm, it could bring that wind gust down to the surface. And the thunderstorms are definitely a good possibility for tomorrow. So especially as we get into the evening, and again, training is a very big possibility that we're going to see a line set up, and it's just going to train over the same areas, and that's where we're going to have the potential for some very heavy rain as a result of this. And so we are dealing with, like I said, the potential for a historic type of storm here as far as the rainfall goes. I think it may be. I don't know what the heaviest rainfall record for December is as far as the amount of rain in, say, a 12-hour period, but that could be broken, particularly at anywhere this line sets up. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff that we're looking at here. And I do want to go to the windy site as well because we can use the NAM, which I'm very curious about what the wind gusts on the NAM are at the surface here. So let's move this along here. 4 o'clock. So this is 4 o'clock, and NAM is having wind gusts at 52 miles an hour already. And then as it moves east, you'll see it gets stronger. So here we are, wind gusts to 59 miles an hour. All right. And we move this along even more. It gets even stronger. Wind gusts to 54 miles an hour. So these are the kind of wind gusts that we're going to have. You see that line. And then on the backside, we'll have some strong winds too. But on the right side of this thing, the winds are just going to be screaming. But then look what happens as we get into Monday afternoon. So here we are Monday afternoon. We're looking at the NAM here. We're still dealing with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So, but look, go off to the east. Look what happens to the Cape now. You think we're going to get it bad? Look at the purples on here. Wind gusts to 80 miles an hour possible. Hurricane force winds on the Cape. The Cape is going to have a massive problems with power outages, perhaps widespread power outages with these winds. Same thing for down east Maine, the coastal Maine. Look at these winds. I mean, 90 miles an hour. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is the NAM, so this is top end. But the NAM may be onto something here. Remember, I always lean toward the worst case because the models underestimate the amount of energy in the atmosphere, from this warming planet that we are on. All right? So let's go to the winds and look again at this. Let's go above the surface now. I'm going to use the NAM here. Let's go to 950. 1,000 meters will be good. All right, so let's see. I think I can still use the NAM for this. All right, so here's the NAM. This is 3 p.m. tomorrow, so this is 1,000 meters above the surface. You already have 63 miles an hour. It's tomorrow afternoon. And look what happens as we get into the afternoon here. 73 miles an hour. This is right above the surface here. 73, all right? And then as we move it along, here's 1 a.m. You can see, look at the cutoff here. So Nassau may be spared, but if you're on the east end, you got winds over your head of 80 miles an hour. And then it just gets worse as we move on. Then that's White's Drag out east end. It could be, this is going to push a lot of water and cause a lot of flooding and beach erosion. 91 miles an hour at Montauk, and just insanity. And then as it gets further east, you can see, look at the whites. I mean, this is like 101. I mean, this is just above the surface here, folks. So yeah, this is absolutely insane. This kind of stuff. All right, I know that's the NAM, so if I go to the Euro, it may not look as bad, all right? But the NAM is the worst case scenario, and that is still a possibility, in my opinion. You can never underestimate the energy in these storms, and I hope the NAM is wrong. But the NAM, if the NAM verifies, it's going to be a terrifying. So we can look at the rain accumulation here from this, and we can go to next 3 days, and it'll show you the amount of rain that the Euro is predicting. So it's a little on the low end, 2.21. I think it'll be more than that. That's 3.71. Let's go to the NAM here, because the NAM is the one that's really producing a lot of rain here. And you can see, look at that, 5.17 inches for parts of Suffolk County, 4.61, 4.82. So this is going to be historic rainfall. Go to the HRRR here. This is a good site to use, and this is the HRRR, and you can see, look at that stripe. 5, maybe even is over 6 inches of rain in some areas. This is going to be like a tropical storm, folks. That's the best way I can put it for you tomorrow. Prepare for a tropical storm type conditions as we deal with the storm tomorrow. And I will keep you updated as long as I can. Obviously, I may lose power. We don't know. I'm not too confident in the power grid here in Mineola, but I'll try my best. So that is going to wrap up this update here on this, again, this historic storm that we're going to have here tomorrow. And I'll try to keep you updated as the storm progresses, because this storm is going to be very, very bad, and perhaps one of the biggest rainfall events to ever hit our area in December in recorded history. That potential is definitely there. And as far as the winds go, again, further east you go, the worse it's going to be. So that's going to wrap it up. Have a good night, and thank you for watching.